Hello, everyone. So I'm here with part two of Mark Rippetoe penned Erotica. So here at the cabin, so excuse the little crickets and frog noises, but I'm gonna load this up real quick. This is the longer of um, his pieces, I guess you could call them. So I'll probably split this up into two parts. I think I'll read about half of it tonight, and half at a later date. So yeah, here we go. This is actual erotica written by Mark Rippetoe. I should say there is quite a bit of proof that this is him actually. Um, there was quite a bit of research done by those at Reddit who were able to confirm that this was most likely him. Yes, this is for real. He literally wrote erotica, and it's horrifying. So this is part two. I think I'm gonna split this story up into two parts because it's a bit long, and it's gonna be hard for me to get through the whole thing in one go. Um, so this one's called "The Trip to Dallas," and this was definitely his most creative one. You guys ready? Good to go? She had been extensively modified over the past couple of years, specifically for sex. Her appearance had been enhanced and altered for the specific purpose of stimulating men to respond instantly to her. She had essentially been redesigned to make all men want to fuck her. She had also been changed in ways that made her different to fuck. Different to fuck. The entire effect was quite irresistible to heterosexual men and made many a gay man reconsider. And she had no use for women. They had no cocks, no cum for her. Alright, I just need that last sentence one more time. She had no use for women. They had no cocks for her. Man, Mark. When she was in full battle dress, whew, men gulped with discomfort at their own reaction to her. Her knee-length hair was worn in a tight braid, secured tightly with leather woven from the bottom up to her neck, so that no stray hair would get in the way or be a nuisance to her while she worked. God, it's so hard to read. Cum either soaked in or fell off, but did not stick to her hair down anywhere that might get pulled or jerked. Makeup. She didn't need it, and it tended to smear away. Her mouth and throat had been changed, and it was the first thing men usually noticed. She had 5 heavy 10-gauge labrettes arranged evenly along her bottom lip, quite noticeably to a cock shaft as it slid in. Her tongue was pierced twice, the back holding an 8-gauge stud fitted with a 3/8-inch ball, the front with an 8-gauge ring. To the front ring was attached a 2-inch length of silver chain that either dangled free while working a cock or was attached to the small 10-gauge ring she wore in her nasal septum, piercing for keeping. God. The arrangement was not conducive to conversation, but she talked with her throat under these circumstances. More modifications of a radical nature had been performed further back. Her back molars had been pulled, the lingual cusps of her remaining molars and premolars had been smoothed down. Oh yeah, I'm definitely in the mood. The cabin here. uh, and her vulva had been removed. This allowed her to slam throat the biggest of cocks, a challenge she had met on several occasions. Oops, shit. Once with 2 black porn stars on a trip to Las Vegas, who were suitably impressed when she did it first time on both, one after the other with no warm-up. But I gotta start with the empty bar. Again, this is real Mark Rippetoe written erotica. I'm not making this shit up, I swear to God. If slam throating was the goal, what the fuck is slam throat? Who calls it that? Slam throating was the goal. The chain and the front ring were removed, since they slowed things down and got in the way. But she was quite effective even with them in. The visual impression made by the chain dangling down her chin between his balls and with her nose against his belly, coupled with the pressure of on the urethra from the tongue ball and ring, usually result in a quick load of cum in the throat. Quick was good in mass cock situations. Mass cock situations. He actually wrote that. More loads in a shorter period of time meant a greater chance of getting, quote, the prize. A full feeling in the belly that can only be produced by a sufficient quantity of cum. Mark Rippetoe is so deeply, deeply homosexual. Man. Okay, anyway. Around her neck, she wore a silver torque. This is all capitalized, collar of belonging. It was delicate and nice enough that it was worn even when not fucking, but anyone touching it was made aware that the only thing available to them was a temporary use of her throat and cunt for her pleasure primarily. It matched the wrist and knee bracelets and the silver rings worn on all her fingers, thumbs, and toes. Her labia were heavy with silver rings, and her asshole was plugged with a light, short metal butt plug with a slim shaft. More of an actual plug than a stretcher. In case you're wondering. The purpose was to bar accidental entrance and to have metal in contact with anything a cock could touch. Her signature sexual trademark. So, quick pause. Again, if you're just catching on, this is actual erotica, actually written by Mark Rippetoe, that he published, I think, in the mid-2000s. Ample proof. I'll put it in the description again. He is so deeply in the closet, it's pretty funny. Jeez, I mean, that's typical boomer, but anyway, here we go. Her breasts had been enlarged to the extent that her natural curves were enhanced to the point of such striking notice that it was virtually impossible to ignore her when she walked into a room. Fat transplants, collagen injections, and vacuum treatments had been used on her already lovely breasts since no implant could possibly stand up to the rough use that hers received daily. Her nipples had been tattooed almost black, so that they showed through even dark clothing. What? And her usually erect nipples were pierced and adorned with a variety of jewelry. While her nipples were healing, she just discovered that she liked them a little sore. Dude. They were more easily stimulated by the fabric of her top that way, so she would often play pierce them weakly to keep the sore and swollen and erect. What? Her pussy had been stretched over a period of months by repeated training with conical steel stretchers and a very talented episiotomy, to the extent that no cock on the planet would not fit loosely in up top the balls. Oh, I should. Oh my god, this is hard to read. If her desire was a tighter fit with a smaller cock, she adjusted the gape with balls of varying sizes. That's not how that works. She normally wore one or more balls inside her pussy all the time to provide a pleasant pressure and to maintain the size she had worked for. Who wants a loose vagina? What the fuck? She had had many men's hands all the way up to the wrist in her cunt, a thing she enjoyed almost more than a cock. Almost. Her pubic hair had been permanently removed, and the external appearance of her pussy was striking. A longer than normal gash that was usually wet with her own juice, or the remnants of a recent ejaculation. Repeated, precisely timed testosterone treatment had swollen her clit to the point that any contact with her pussy brushed it, and it was thoroughly available to the friction and impact of fucking. He's so in the closet. Even from the rear, a man's balls would occasionally swing into it with particularly hard thrusting, adding to the sensation of the inside balls being pressed into her G-spot by the cock shaft. Estrogen had also been administered for breasts, skin, and emphasis of her other feminine aspects. It may have been what made the makeup unnecessary. All right, I think I'm going to do 2 more paragraphs, and then I don't think I can do much more, guys. This is, again, real erotica, actually written by Mark Rippetoe, that he published online. In case you're just catching on me. Last 2 paragraphs for tonight, then I'll finish it. Her asshole, normally available only to, capital, he to whom she belonged, would sometimes be granted to others. She enjoyed especially intense orgasms from an ass fucking, and her looseness here, produced by stretching similar to that which has stretched out her cunt, without the episiotomy. Guys, you should Google that. Tell me that's real. Made even the hardest cock pounding painless, in circumstances where her asshole was not permitted to other men. Her comfortable butt plug closed it, and provided her with additional stimulation as it massaged her from another direction while being stroked. When use of her asshole was planned and permitted, she cleaned herself out with enemas, and for important occasions such as multiple partner filming, a thing that occurred a couple of amazing times, a juice-only diet for 36 hours. Juice-only, Mark? Go mad, what the fuck? She always prepared with a quick mineral oil enema just before ass fucking, which left her damp in both holes and produced a nice little cum itself. Alright, last paragraph for tonight, guys. Jesus Christ, this is so fucked up. When they went out to play, she was dressed in a short skirt with silver chains hung from a band around her waist down to both knee bracelets. What's a knee bracelet? She had hung them from her labia once, but it became obvious that the danger of that outweighed the aesthetic appeal. What the fuck? And besides, no one could tell from where they hung, and most people, for one reason or another, assumed the labia. She wore 2 musical steel balls in her pussy. Musical? How's that word? A whistle? Which produced a muffled kind of music box effect as she walked. Very difficult for most people to identify. A tight white top covered her with a stunningly brazen sexual effect. Pierced, dark nipples visible and curves screaming to be fucked. She wore black 3-inch platforms that allowed her to squat down in a comfortable position while she worked with her throat. Of course she's squatting. Her braid confined with the leather made her look like she was ready for work, and indeed she was. She often left a little bit of cum to dry on her face and throat as confirmation to anyone with the balls enough to look closely. Alright, that's the end of part 1 of this. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. Man, Mark Rippetoe is a weird fucking dude. Clearly closeted. He's gotta be. I mean, he's the right age and shit where they keep that stuff hidden. I think this is better than the first. The first one was definitely about Alan Thrall. This one, I don't even know where it's going. That's about as far as I read earlier. So, next time I read it, it'll be a surprise for us all. Wow. Man, what a fucking freak. Fucking freak. Alright, guys. That's about all I got. Stay safe. Don't write weird shit like he writes. And, I don't even know.